Hello? My computer's out to kill me. I have been cursed. Ah. That's that's great. It's so good. I love my computer. My PC became unresponsive because of course it did. So we're set back to the autosave again. It's fine. It's not that far back. We are led to believe, sir, that your initials are EB. Yet in a most possessive manner, you have in your grasp a cane bearing the initials AG. Da da da. You said before you've had the cane for years. But yeah, my computer crashed because it does that sometimes. Which is... I really want to fix it so it doesn't do that. But like... It feels incredibly random when it happens. Like... I don't know, there's no tells. All of a sudden the computer just becomes unresponsive. Which, like... And it doesn't seem to... Like, it's just really weird. Because... It's just strange because it's like I can't even shut down the computer normally when it happens. It becomes so unresponsive, it like can't even shut itself down properly. Like I can get it to start shutting down, but then we don't get anywhere. Okay, so we're just gonna skip through this really quick to get back to the notelet.
Take that!
Because the coat does not fit him. Yes, because the overcoat is rather obviously a poor fit. Okay, that means it's happened twice to me, but like the last time it happened was like a week ago. My suspicions were aroused from the outset. When you so baldly lied about your name and boldly lied about the other thing. To steal the article that the young girl redeemed from Mr. Windibank. But what really irks me is this. The considerable crime I initially imagined has been considerably curtailed. Okay, back to part 2. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, designed a wheeze to filch some tawdry article of ponage. Have you forgotten that I redeemed the article in the proper manner using the watchword? Had I not been the one to deposit it in the first place? How could I possibly have known the relevant details? Ne sais pas. Oh, but the watchword can be discovered. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pond property of another. The method is revealed by... The direction of the deduction must change rather dramatically now, I think. Yes, no more talk of tunneling into the sewers, which is a pity because it all sounded rather exciting. Anyway, you can't deny that this mysterious gentleman did know the watchword. Yes, Professor. If you didn't know the word, Mr. Windibank would never allow you to redeem the article. Or, looking at it another way, if you did know the word, Mr. Windibank would allow you to redeem the article whether it was yours or not. So the question is, could this gentleman have found the watchword somehow? Look at this, Miss Susato. Ah, it appears to be a memo that Mr. Windibank has scribbled to himself. Let's see, what does it say? Oh, Professor. Mr. Windibank must make a note of the watchwords his customers give him right before their eyes, and in alarmingly clear script as well. Oh dear. I don't know where to look. Who knows what other secrets I might see? By this notelet.
Take that!
The method is revealed by the notelet on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. Yes, the broker here follows the same procedure whenever a customer comes to redeem an article. He asks the customer for the watchword and notes down the response uttered on a notelet he has on hand. Then he consults his ledger and confirms whether or not the watchword matches that of the article in question. I would expect nothing less of a diligent pawnbroker. But his diligence clearly has its disadvantages. What are you talking about? It is increasingly apparent that you were present in this shop before your accusation against Miss Lestrade. In all likelihood, you followed her inside, then observed her talking to Mr. Windibank. When the diligent broker made a note of the watchword, as is his common practice, you observed him writing the word professor on the notelet beside the wet ledger. And that, sir, was the master plan you devised to steal the pond article from the young Miss Lestrade. Master plan. Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. Why would you go to such lengths to redeem that particular article from this pawnbroker? Are you quite serious? For an ill-fitting overcoat hardly seems to justify the effort, much less a worthless music box disc. But naturally, you had a very good reason to make them yours, didn't you, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, the articles we're talking about are the overcoat in the music box disc that was in one of the pockets, which, according to Mr. Windibank, isn't even worth a penny. And yet, this man went to such lengths to steal them. Why? I wonder if perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain it, Mr. Naruhodo. Could we really? I'd better have a thorough look through all the evidence we've collected so far. Lots of options here for evidence.
Take that!
What spectacularly contrived logic led you to this mindless conclusion? Oh, well, it's supposed to be a logic and reasoning spectacular, so I thought I'd contribute to the show. This is my show, Mr. Naruhodo. Kindly perform any peculiar experiments on your own stage. Sorry. What? Wait, this man has used some fairly high-handed measures to try to get his hand on the overcoat and the disc. He certainly doesn't want either for their monetary value, though. Still, they must be of value somehow to someone. This is the last piece of the puzzle. I'd better have another look through the evidence and see if there are any clues hiding. It's because I didn't examine it. Oh, there's a little scrap of paper stuck onto the reverse side of the disc. Look. And a scribbled word or two. It looks like somebody's name. For McGilded. McGilded? It couldn't be. But it is, Mr. Naruhodo. A name I shall never forget, for as long as I live. But why? Why is his name on this? The music disc's information has been updated in the court record. I should have examined it first, but the answer is the disc. There's no other choice. I got scammed out of a life. You see, this music box disc tells us all we need to know. What's that on the back? It reads, For McGilded. Mr. Magnus McGilded. The unfortunate philanthropist who perished in curious circumstances at the Old Bailey 2 months ago. A prominent man in London, though his loan-mongering demonstrated a distinct lack of scruples. So, you're an associate of his, are you? Or perhaps a subordinate? Mr. McGilded was a man of unusually small stature, in fact. He was precisely the right size for that overcoat that you've squeezed yourself into. Your true identities remain shrouded in mystery, Mr. Eggert Benedict. But the final conclusion here is crystal clear. The reason you came to this pawnbrokery today was to retrieve an article left behind by the late Magnus McGilded. Ah. Solved. Deduction complete. Elementary. Well, well. Mr. Magnus McGilded. Not a name I expected to hear in these circumstances. Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid there's something very troubling on my mind. Pray tell, Miss Susato. Well, according to what Mr. Windibank told us earlier, today was the final day on which the coat could have been redeemed, was it not? Yes, ma'am, that is correct. Today would be precisely 2 months since it was first deposited. Well, today is the 15th of April, so 2 months ago today would have been the 15th of February, sir. That's right. It's all carefully recorded in my ledger. Deposited at 10:30 p.m., I see. What? But that suggests... Yes, 15th of February is precisely the day on which the omnibus murder took place. And 10:30 in the evening is precisely the time at which the terrible events were unfolding. Suggestive is not the word. It would seem the matter is entirely beyond coincidence. You are, of course, at liberty to make whatever outlandish deductions you choose. However, I must insist you hand over the music box disc now. It would be a terrible shame for you to return to your native land in a box. What do I do? Absolutely not. There are some things a man must protect at all costs. This may well be one of those things. Then again, it may not.
Hold it!
Mr. Windibank, this is my shop. I can't allow any harm to come to my customers. If that were to happen, I should have to take my own life. Mr. Windibank, no! Alright, that's enough. Inspector Gregson! Inspector? That's right, Sunshine. The alarm was raised on one of our dedicated emergency lines. So we got here as fast as we could. Now, what's all this about, eh? Oh, praise be, you're here at last. I was a moments away from forfeiting my own life in my very own establishment. It would seem you have the upper hand. Right. You lot got some explaining to do. And I don't appreciate being bothered with some petty argy-bargy. petty. Mr. Wildebank very nearly met with his end. Yeah, by his own gun as far as I could tell. Oh dear. And the whole of Britain could meet with its end if I don't get to the bottom of the case I'm supposed to be working on. Oh, what? What on earth is the case, Inspector? Spare no detail, Gregson. I might have said a little too much. No matter, it's nothing to do with you lot. Anyway, sir, you're gonna have to come with me down to the station. But of course, Inspector. He's getting away! Get after him, lads! Whistle the beat officer, too! Sir! There's been a spate of thefts at pawn shops around here recently. So we've fitted emergency buttons underneath the counters for brokers to let us know when there's trouble. Oh, Inspector, I was very worried there for a while. Very worried indeed. Now then, Mr. Permanently in mourning? Oh, yes? I'll be taking whatever it is of McGilded's down to the yard. Thank you very much. So hand it over. Oh, yes, of course. No, don't. Don't give it to him. It's mine. That is mine. I'm sorry, miss. But anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now. As evidence? If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. Grr. And so, we handed Mr. McGilded's disc over to Inspector Gregson, and we were summarily turfed out of the shop onto the street. To be continued. Okay, let me think for a second. Dang, I can't believe it crashed so close to the end of the part again, too. That's some timing. We were so close. But yeah, I think I am probably going to be wrapping up my stream here for today, just because otherwise I'll be streaming for at least 3 more hours, probably. These sections are getting rather long, so I think we're gonna wrap up here with part 1 of the investigation completed, and tomorrow night we'll continue this at 8 p.m. Eastern. So look forward to it. But yeah, thank you all for sticking around and watching for a while. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am, because this game is so good. I'm very happy to be playing it. I probably could stream it for like 8 hours, but yeah, whatever. But yeah, thanks again for everyone to watching. I'll be live again tomorrow night. So, see you then.